about communication skills, and in communication skills I was talking about telephone etiquettes. The other day we were learning about telephone etiquettes, and today I'll be continuing with the telephone etiquettes in detail. And I'm Kranth, and I'll be teaching you more about the communication skills. So today when I speak about communication skills, yes, we will be telling on phone conversation or on machine conversation. So usually when we talk on phone, or when we usually communicate something on phone, the basic thing that you have to remember is how are you talking and what are you talking, and how exactly you are maintaining your language is also very important, right? So now today let me take you with the telephone etiquettes. Let us see the slide here. Yes. What are telephone etiquettes? Telephone etiquettes is nothing but proper telephonic etiquette is very important in that you are representing your department, remembering to use proper telephone etiquette, whether answering the phone or making phone calls, leaves callers with a favorable impression of you and your department. Telephone etiquette means being respectful to the person you are talking with, showing consideration for the other person's limitations, allowing that person time to speak, communicating clearly, and much more. Your voice must create a pleasant visual impression over the telephone. So when I speak about all these 3 points, I just want you guys to remember only one thing. How are you impressing the other person, or how are you actually dealing with the person who is actually talking with you on the phone? People, there might be so many situations whenever you will be talking on phone. For example, there are so many ways of answering calls. For example, one particular situation, you will be taking a call of a person who is your faculty. Let us imagine your faculty have called you. So that is a professional way of talking, isn't it? So how do you talk professionally on a phone? So you're going to say hello, your professor is going to say hi, how are you? And then you're going to say, yes sir, I am good. And then you can't go in personally or unprofessionally, isn't it? So you have to talk professionally, and you have to use some proverbs, or you have to use some lines which actually communicate them in a right way, right? So that's what telephonic etiquettes are. These are the rules, do's and don'ts that we have to remember, especially when we are talking on a phone. So I'll go ahead and I'll go in detail about telephone etiquettes today, and right now I'll just tell you what is the first step in the telephone etiquettes. When I speak about the telephone etiquettes and the steps, it's just very simple: making a call, receiving a call, and disturbed person, cool person, finishing the call. So these are some of the important things that you have to remember in the telephone etiquettes. Let us go with the first point, and that is making or answering a call. Let's see the slide here. The first point here is try to answer the phone within 3 rings. Answering a phone too fast can catch the caller off guard, and waiting too long can make the caller angry. Answer with a friendly greeting. Example: good afternoon. From which university are you? And this is an example that I have given. Good afternoon, Language University Telecommunications. Lisa speaking. How may I help you? So this is an answering of the call. When you're professionally working for somebody, people, especially, I'll tell you one thing. Nowadays, in the market, especially in the market, if you can see, there are so many jobs on telecalling, right? For example, if you see, when I speak about international BPOs, domestic BPOs, and when I speak about calling, when I speak about calling, the only thing that you have to remember is in calling we have answering and you have making the calls. But how are you getting trained on doing the calls is also very important, because in calling there are technical support, customer support. So here is an example where you have seen a customer support answering the thing. So I'll just show you the example once again. Let us see the example here. We have, good afternoon, Language University Telecommunications, Lisa speaking, how may I help you? So people, especially when I speak about telecommunications, the only thing that you have to remember is in the market, BPOs are now in a booming situation. For example, if you see telecommunications, everywhere there is a BPO. I mean, see, you go for an IT job, you might not get cleared as soon as possible. You go for an interview because there are scarcity of jobs. Everywhere you go for an IT, you might not get an IT job, but BPOs you can get into. And if you see comparatively, a person who is working in an international BPO will have lots and lots of communications than the person who is working in the IT company or in the IT field. You know why? Because in BPOs the person will be talking continuously, that he will improve his communications, and as well as it will be useful for the person to get engaged with any particular situations. Because I'll tell you what, people, usually when you're talking with some stranger, because international calling is all about receiving calls, US citizens will call you, UK citizens will call you, there'll be different kinds of people who will be calling you, and you will be receiving a call. And when you're receiving a call, you should be so friendly and you should be very understandable that the person should understand what exactly you are actually talking with them. So once you keep answering the calls, once you keep talking to the person, what will happen? You will intend to remember how to actually communicate on the telephone, because you're doing it continuously. So though you will do it continuously, you will have an impact on impressing anybody just like that. You know why? Because you will be continuously talking on the phone. So always remember, guys, BPO is one of the best jobs in the market to get into and to perform with. So today I just want to tell you about BPOs, and when I speak about BPOs, business process outsourcing, and also KPOs, knowledge process outsourcing, and we have many more. So when I speak about BPOs and KPOs, KPOs are semi-calling and BPOs are entirely calling. So when I speak about calling, why you should not get into this calling job is the first question that everybody have. Everybody will say this is just a telecalling job and I should not get into it. But people, here when I speak about telecalling or when I speak about BPOs, just remember that the BPO have lot of career. I mean, it have hierarchy. For example, if you have joined as technical support associate, in the next 6 months you can actually get into senior technical support associate, and then you can get into process lead, and then you can become SME, that is subject matter expert, and you can then become a risk analyst, you can become quality analyst, you can become a trainer, you can become, and again you have a lot of hierarchies, AGM, GM. So people always remember, you should always look for the growth. Never look for a job. Job anybody will get, but for growth you have to work. So growth is very much into BPO because it is communications exchange job. So now I just want to tell you the importance of the BPO. Before I go ahead, let me tell you answering the call and its importance. So let us see the slide. Answer with a friendly greeting, that is already done, and now just smile. When you smile, it shows even through the phone lines, speak in a pleasant tone of voice, the caller will appreciate it. Address the caller properly to his or her title. I have already given an example here. Good morning, Mr. Brown. Good afternoon, Miss Andres. Never address an unfamiliar caller by his or her first name. So people, when I speak about answering the calls, or when I speak about really how to answer a call, all these, putting a smile, talking with a smile, or having an energetic phone call, all these are just to impress the customer or the client, because as much as the client is impressed, as many incentives you got, obviously, because you are calling to a customer. For example, you have a problem in your phone. What will you do? You will immediately call to one of the person, yes or no? So once you have called to any of the persons immediately, the first thing that you will do is try to understand why exactly or what exactly the person needs. So people, I just want you to tell you that whenever you are in BPOs or whenever you are into a job, communications is very important, and impressing somebody is very much important, especially in these kinds of jobs. Because usually in communication exchange jobs, what happen, until and unless you impress somebody, the job won't fulfill. So always remember, you have to be in a position where you are fulfilling the needs of the people. Alright. So now let us see the making calls. So here is an example here, people. So till now we have just been talking about the answering the calls, but now when I speak about the making of calls, be an attentive listener. Don't do other jobs at the same time, that is fidgeting. Again, I have given an example here. Good afternoon, Lingua University Telecommunications. Lisa speaking. Tell me. So now you are making a call, okay? Use the person name, it's music to their ears. I'll explain you the first 3 points, people. So, guys, the first thing that you have to concentrate is be attentive, because usually on phone what usually we think is nobody is watching us or nobody is looking at us. So when nobody is looking at you, what happens? You indirectly or directly don't pay attention to what's happening out there, isn't it? So I just recommend you always to be attentive while somebody is talking with you, because whenever you are attentive, if somebody is talking to you, what happens is the person or the people, whoever is talking to you, will make sure that you are very attentive and will obviously love listening to you. So that is why always in making a call, be attentive, because you have to talk properly, then only you will get a response. Second thing is the example that I have given you. Always wish, because wishing is the first step of cracking the deal. So always wish, and and then go forward, right? So for example, I have mentioned here, good afternoon, this is Lingua University and Lisa speaking. So this is one of the good examples. And the third thing that you can see here, I'll explain to you. Guys, there are some magics that you do, especially. There are some magics that you have to do especially. So the magics are repeating their names again and again in the same conversation. I'll tell you, for example, your name is Singhania. Your name is Vikram Singhania. So what happens? You obviously, when I'm talking to you or when I'm making a call, repeatedly once I speak your name, or I say, sir, is it Vikram Singhania? So Vikram Singhania is being noted as the best award-winning officer of this office, or something. Vikram Singhania is known for his own talents, of his own skill set. So what happens, the person who is listening, or Vikram Singhania himself, will obviously love hearing their own names again and again in a professional way, because hardly we hear our names pronounced in a professional way. So this obviously helps us going in a forward conversation. So now let us see the next point in the making of calls. if they have to be put on hold, ask if you can call them back rather than keeping them waiting indefinitely on the line. When you reach a wrong number, don't argue with the person who argued the call or who answered the call, or keep them on this line. Say, I'm sorry, I must have the wrong number, please excuse the interruption, and then hang up. So the last 2 points meaning is nothing but, always remember when you have some work, for example, if somebody have suddenly come into the conversation in between of your conversation, telephonic conversation I'm talking about. You are having a telephonic conversation with somebody and somebody else have come and interrupted you in between. So what is that you're going to do? Obviously, you have to put the phone on hold, isn't it? So how do you put on hold? You're going to put it just like that, or you're going to ask for them. Just ask. Kindly ask the person whoever have answered our call and whoever is just talking with us. Make sure they are very convenient enough on holding the call, because just ask their permission or ask them to be on hold for a while so that you can come back and talk again. Or else if it is going to take a long time, then just politely say them, interrupt them saying, I have to hang the call right now because of some interruption, and then hang the call, so that the person whoever is talking to you will be more convenient enough in understanding you. All right. So the last point here I just want to mention is, when you reach a wrong number, obviously people, I'll just give you a very good example. Every day we get a wrong call on your phone, right? Every day we receive a wrong phone call. Every day we'll have a particular phone call which says something which we don't even understand because it is a wrong number dial, right? So some people argue with that. Why did you call me? Who gave my number? Without knowing why will you call? It's just waste of time, isn't it? So when you do that, when you have done a wrong number dial, make sure you apologize in a very decent way, so that the person whoever is listening to you will feel that this person is a very good person or a gentleman, and then definitely will hang up the call, right? So that is what I just want to tell you when I'm speaking about making the calls. So now I'll just tell you handling rude or impatient calls. Let us see the slide here once again. Stay calm, try to remain diplomatic and polite. Getting angry will only make them angrier. I'll tell you guys what is the example here. See, when a person is obviously angry, you should not make the person more angrier by arguing with them. Never argue or never prolong the situation on why exactly that thing have happened or something. So please make sure whenever you're talking, ensure that you understand what is a problem in a polite way, or just make sure that you are in a polite tone, that the person whoever is very angry will get convinced by your tone, obviously. So this is a magic that you can make sure that the impatient or the angrier people will get reduced in their anger just because of your politeness, right? So let us see the next point here. Always show willingness to resolve the problem or conflict. For example, you have committed a mistake, or your company have committed a mistake, or there might be situations where there will be committing mistakes by your end, So when you have committed a mistake, you should be in a way that you have to accept them, agree them, and obey them why they are actually angry. See, people, we don't get angrier just like that, isn't it? We just don't get angry just like that. We get angry because of the situations which demand us to be like, all right? So we have to, or the person who is making a call should be in a position where they should be okay, or they should be really good in convincing, or they should be okay to agree, or they should be okay to obey, or they should be okay to accept the mistakes. All right, so that is what I just have mentioned in the second point. Now let us see the third point here. Try to think like the caller. Remember, their problems and concerns are important. If you are in a non-supervisory position, offer to have your supervisor talk to the caller or call him or her back if the caller persists. If you are supervisor, be willing to handle irritate callers. Speak slowly and calmly. Be firm with your answers, but understanding. Sometimes the irate caller just wants someone in a supervisory capacity to listen to their story, even if you are unable to help them. Now, always, whenever I speak about the telephone etiquettes, I just want to tell you, handling rude or impatient callers, in handling impatient callers, the most important thing that you have to remember is, whenever if somebody is telling their concerns or problems, make sure you listen to them very carefully, because their problems will obviously help you resolving them, or solving their problems will help you in getting a good feedback, obviously. All right, so this is the most important thing you always have to remember. And always try to pass on the call to your supervisor, so that if they have any concerns on your company, they can directly tell them on their face, so that that won't be another problem again, isn't it? So this is always useful. All right, so few of the telephone etiquettes I'll tell you today. Please note it down if possible. All right, so let us see the slide. I am sorry. Thank you. Please. So these three set of telephone etiquettes will always help you. First, these are the three for convincing. I'll repeat it once again. I am sorry. Thank you. Please. May I take a message? Would you like to leave your number? May I put you on hold? I'm sorry to keep you waiting. He's away from his desk. May I have him return your call? I'll repeat all the five again, leaving the first three set. May I take a message? Would you like to leave your number? May I put you on hold? I'm sorry to keep you waiting. He's away from his desk. May I have him return your call? So these are few telephone etiquettes that I want to tell you. So what are the three first set I was telling you? I am sorry, thank you, and please. So these three set will help you in understanding the apologies, or will make sure that the conversation ends properly, or you're breaking at a particular point by saying this. So this can help you in the apology sessions. And the next five set of, for example, may I take a message? For example, if somebody else is calling somebody and you are really not able to take them, then you can just put on like, may I send a message for them? For example, if your brother's friend have called you and you just have answered the call, whenever you're answering, you might have a difficulty in passing on the message. So you can directly say that the person is not available, do you want to return your call? So that's what makes the caller very convenient in telling what they actually want from you. This is the most important thing that you have to remember in the telephone etiquettes. So let us see some more telephone etiquettes here. If you can see the slide. Although complaints aren't pleasant, they do tell us how we can improve. Don't be afraid to take responsibility. Don't be afraid to apologize. If you can, explain why the problem occurred. Don't challenge the complaint directly. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated. Remain cool, collected, courteous, and helpful. Don't get involved in fault finding. Don't blame somebody else. Don't let your personal feelings get in the way. Remember, the goal is to solve the problem. So people, whenever you are in BPOs or whenever you are in a position or whenever you are in a job where you have to take so many calls, the only thing that you have to remember is you have to be in a place where you have to understand what is the problem. Yes. So here I just want to tell you that whenever if somebody is calling you to tell their problem, the first thing that you have to remember is, are you apologizing or are you listening to them carefully? Are you understanding them carefully? Don't argue with them. That's what I have mentioned here. And one more thing, the most important thing is the goal of the call is to solve the problem. It is not about whether you have argued back or whether it is not about you have convinced the client, etc., etc. No, this is not the problem or this is not the step. The only goal that you should have whenever you are taking a call is to solve the problem. So if you are able to solve the problem, that means you have maintained a proper telephone etiquettes. So these are the most important things that you have to remember every time whenever I speak about solving the problem. So whenever you are solving the problem, make sure you are talking with the person for a longer time, make him talk, make him open up his anger, tell him, and don't get compromised, don't get your personal feelings in between, because the caller is no more your friend or your relative. So it's okay. So even if he's going to shout at you, it's just going to be for a while and it's going to get extended obviously. So chill. Never ever take it to personal. That is first thing that I want to tell you. And never ever try to complain about your problem. You know what? When you try to report the complaint of your problem, if the customer says yes, you have a problem in your internet, if you reply back saying we had never a problem in the internet, there might be situations where you will prove yourself as a wrong communicator. So never do that. Okay. So these are few of the most important telephone etiquettes that I just want to mention it to you, and the telephone etiquettes of the communications. So let us see the points once again. If you can see the slide. Let us see from the fifth point. Don't challenge the complaint directly. That's what I have mentioned. And don't allow yourselves to be intimidated, remain cool, collected, conscientious and helpful. This will help you obviously. Don't get involved in fault finding and don't blame somebody else. So when I say this, I just want you to remember that when you are especially putting this problem on anybody else, for example, it can be you today, it can be somebody else yesterday. So when somebody else have taken the call and when they have committed a mistake, don't say that that person have committed mistake, so why are you scolding me? Guys, it is one company together, right? So when you're working for a company, their problem is our problem is always our problem, right? So make sure you solve each and every problem as soon as possible and you overcome all the situations whenever you are at the particular telephonic conversation. So this is what I just want to tell you. Be patient and be more accurate in telephone etiquettes, because telephone etiquettes will help you everywhere. Alright. So thank you so much for listening to my class and being patient in the class. So I just want to tell you that telephonic etiquettes are the most important things that you have to remember every time at every situation, and use the telephonic etiquettes with every of the phone call that you have from today onwards. And let us improve together. That's what I just want to tell you. I am Kranth and I'll be teaching more classes about communications in upcoming classes, and I am from APSSDC.